Hi guys, this is jjlockhART back again this week with a new art video, and this week I'm doing something very different. Recently I got a commission to do a triptych, which is 3 paintings, and I decided that it might be kind of interesting for you guys to see, I guess, sort of like the behind the scenes as far as like what I do, or as far as brainstorming ideas for a bigger commission piece. And so what I did was split it up into part 1 and part 2. So this week you'll be seeing part 1, and that'll be all the behind the scenes, the brainstorming, the figuring out what's going to happen, what I'm going to be painting. And then the second part will be the actual painting and art prep, So that way I have a little bit of both, and that way you can sort of see my process and sort of like the behind the scenes. So again, for this week's art video, it'll be just basically the brainstorming, just the process of figuring out what to do and working with the client. So if you'd like to see my process and see how I come up with my idea for the next big commission piece, please keep watching. And if you're not interested in that, that's totally fine. Next week's video will be more of a speed paint and prepping and getting ready for the actual execution. So today you'll be seeing the actual brainstorming, the behind the scenes, and then next week's video will be more of the actual execution and painting. And so I will see you guys later. And hopefully you guys will come back next week to see the next video. So thanks, guys. Okay, let's start. First of all, I just want to say that if you hear some noises in the background, of course, they're my two doggies that are always around, and they make noise. So one's chewing on a bone, the other one's just sneezing. So if you hear any background noise, that's what that is. So let's get started. For this, I guess the first thing I do in order to brainstorm is I first try and figure out what are, I guess, my limitations, or what are my parameters, or what do I have to do, or what is it that, what are my musts, I guess, my must-haves. How about that? So that way we can really see it. Alright, so I'm going to start with a triptych, so that I know that that's what I'm making. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to spell that. I think that's how you spell it. If not, it's okay. But anyway, so this is where I start off with my brainstorming. And then, like I said, then I need to figure out what are musts, or what is it that I have, my limitations, or what is it that I need to produce. So I know that there's 3 pieces. And then, in speaking to my client, I know that she wants 3 pieces that combine make 1 piece. So, combine to 1 piece. So, she wants them to all make up 1 piece, rather than having 3 separate individual different looking ones to create a grouping of things. She wants it to be 1 larger image made up of 3. Other things, I guess, other things that I like to write down are maybe like feelings or colors, things to help generate ideas. For example, I know that she likes the colors, she likes blues. So blues and teals, I know that she wants it in that color scale. I know that she wants it to be a floral, and I've sort of discussed with her as far as, like, by floral, does she mean like a grouping of flowers or 1 large flower? And she said she's open to the possibility. So that gives us 2 options. So maybe a grouping or 1 large, or a few large. So that's like 2 different options as far as floral. I know that she doesn't want like a pattern. She's open to the idea of a close-up. And as far as grouping, she is okay with multiple color. And again, this is all information that I've gathered by having a meeting with my client. And this is where we discuss, you know, ideas and stuff like that, or, you know, what start us, because if you have like a open book of of possibilities, you know, the sky's the limit, you're never going to get to something that your client wants. So you need to go ahead and start like limiting, so that when you produce something, it's like, I guess, so it fits them a little bit better. Another thing I do as well is I sort of like look for images and have my client sort of look for images of things that they like. So here's some that I printed out. And these, again, I'm not saying that I'm, you know, obviously I tell the client, you know, I'm not reproducing these items. These are just idea starters to see what you like and what you don't like. And that helps a lot, because as an artist trying to produce work for someone else, sometimes it can be kind of problematic, because you might have a certain style, they might have, you know, a different way of doing it. Now, most of the clients that you're going to get are probably seen previous work, like what you do, and want you to do something for them. So they already have an idea of what your style is. So it's more to sort of narrow down options. And for example, this is one picture that my client really likes. This is a Vincent van Gogh, and she really likes this blue and this teal, and she really likes how this area right here is lighter and then these areas are darker. And she also likes the little white flowers. So this gives me an idea of, okay, color range. It also gives me an idea of combination of colors, maybe the white with blue. So that helps narrow it down a little bit. Another image is another one by Vincent van Gogh, and I knew that my client liked the almond flower one, this one. So I knew that he also had this very nice like floral with these blue colors. And so I introduced this to see color combinations. Like this really nice red color looks very good with this blue. And these darker blues and lighter blues look very good with these blues. So I knew that my client wanted it within the blue scheme. So I was trying to figure out where I can add maybe pops of color. So sort of seeing what sort of things she likes. And so for this, she really liked the collection of flowers, and also the broad brush strokes, which again helps. So I can sort of keep that in mind when I'm producing art for her, as far as her style. Another one that I like, and the client seemed to like as well, was I really like this piece because it has like these sort of abstract shapes, and one can interpret them as flowers, but they're very simplified. They're still within the color scale that she likes, but if you notice, the background is gold. In the printout, it kind of just looks yellow or a cream color, but it's intended to be gold. And I really like the idea of that reflective color up against this beautiful blue turquoise. And so I presented it to her, and she really liked that as well. Another image that I showed her was this idea of where these three pieces combined make a larger image, but if you look at them individually, they're not all the same. They all have a different color scheme. This one's mostly yellow, this one has like some blues, oranges, and this one's like a little bit more reddy orange. So I was showing her this to see if this is something that she might be interested in, where we can maybe make one larger image but have the individual canvases have their own personality. And that's something that I really like. And so I will probably incorporate that in my sketches as far as like what ideas to go with. And she seemed to be okay with that idea as well. I also printed this image out just because, since I knew she wanted florals, I didn't know if she wanted maybe, like I showed previously, a grouping of smaller flowers or one larger abstract flower. And so I really liked this abstraction of the pieces and the petals. So she also liked this color scheme as well. So that's another, way to sort of narrow down some ideas. This one, I mostly just showed her to show like big, broad strokes, whether she wanted something a little bit more cleaner or broader in strokes. And she said that she didn't mind either way. So, based on all of that, I have a better idea of, creating something that is in my style that I like, but my client, will also enjoy. So, for example, we know she wants the 3 pieces. She wants it combined to one larger piece. Blues and teals, floral. She's okay with either a grouping or a large one. And then, let's see what else. We know that she likes bright colors, so we definitely want to keep it in the brighter area. I guess this would go under blues and greens, so bright. She also doesn't mind white and gray, but blues and teals are the biggest ones. She also said that she wants to put it in her bedroom on top of her bed or headboard. In her walls, she's going to be painting them like a gray blue. So she would like it predominantly a lighter color so that it contrasts well with the color that she's going to be using for her wall. Let's see, what else? Yeah, I guess that's about all the criteria, which is pretty good because you'll see that with some clients, they're very specific. They'll want X, Y, and Z. But other clients, they're just like, well, I want it to be your piece, but I just need these and these things. So with this client, it's pretty broad. So as you can see, I can make a variety of things. So my next step really is to sort of brainstorm this further and maybe develop some sketches. And I'd like to develop at least 3 sketches, 2 or 3 sketches for each. So it would be, I guess, a total of 9 because there's 3 panels in each. A little messy, but it's really 1, 2, 3 concepts. So what I'll do is I'll sketch out some concepts, and then I will present them to the client and see which direction she likes most. And then sometimes what I'll do is I'll also maybe do like a couple of swatches. I'll do like a little, that's supposed to be like a paint palette. Sometimes I'll do like little swatches so they can get an idea of what colors I'm intending to use in certain areas. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you the sketches when I come right back. Okay, so back to the actual, I guess, brainstorming. Like you saw last clip before I started sketching, I kind of had like 2 different areas where it was like a floral close-up and a grouping. So from there, I came up with a couple of flowers that I thought would maybe help represent her a little bit. I thought of a calla lily because it's kind of a simple form. It's a little bit more simplified, sleek. Most calla lilies, the main color is white, so I thought that would be nice, and therefore I could make it nice and big and mostly be white and like cream colors. The other idea I had for a floral close-up was perhaps a peony. I know she likes the peonies, and it's more of a complex shape, so I can actually make it a little bit more, I guess, sort of structured but loose at the same time. So kind of like the idea of a peony would be nice. And then the other idea I had was for grouping was sort of a bouquet of just like, just making it look lush. So these are my sketches, and as you saw me go through them, the first one, when you saw me sketching, it was just very loose, and again, the reason why I picked the calla lily is because it is a very simple shape. It's also very geometric and organic at the same time. I can produce like really nice colors as far as like tonalities within the white here. And then I was thinking for the background, doing like the teal colors like in this picture, where it's like lighter in this area in the center, and then darker blue or darker teal on around the edges, so sort of make this area almost like a halo, like look very light in this area, especially since this will be a nice white color with like an orange center. So that's the first concept for that. For a close-up would be like a calla lily. Yeah, I think that's about what I was thinking for that. Just something nice and simple. And then the second concept I had was for the peony. And like I said, the peony is a little bit more complex in shape. So again, these are really, really rough sketches. But this is just to figure out the placement and figure out like where things would lie. So I think I would have the bulk of the peony here within these two frames, or within these two canvases, and then have multiple, like just multiple layers of the peony, and sort of have a more dense area here, and then a little bit like looser, the peony leaves, petals a little bit looser here. And then the same thing with the color. I would have like maybe a brighter center here with the darker petals going outward. And then I decided to break this sort of like in half so that both of these have something, I guess, interesting on their own. So like, let's say for some reason she wanted to just wanted to hang this section. It would still look like a peony and it would still look lush. Same here if she just did that one, lush. And then for the third one, as a focal point, I have like a bud, like a peony bud, sort of just like branching out. So together they create like sort of like a mother and baby sort of thing. And that way that this last one also has a focal point here, and could stand on its own as well. So that's one thing I was sort of thinking about with this, is how can this grouping or this one flower with this bud sort of have I guess their own traits individually, but together come up to one piece. And then another thing too is with this concept, the first concept, I thought about it as a single flower, just simple. And then this got more, just a smidgen more complex, not only by the flower, by adding another element as well. And then for the third concept, which is the bouquet of it, we took it even further. So several elements. And I'm thinking about like here maybe having like roses, what other, I guess like leaves, and just like different variety of different flowers. But here I would have to come up with different colors, unless I made the whole bouquet a little more monochromatic. I was thinking maybe whites, pinks, yellows in this area, with some leaves, or maybe doing a variety of creams and like darker, maybe like a light yellow or a light orange, and then having the leaves I guess the little bits around be like a gray green. And that might be a way to sort of limit this a little bit, to not have like a bright array of colors, and then have the background, the teal that she would like, the lighter around and then darker within the edges. But for this one, it also has some variety. So like, for example, if the client says, you know what, I really want to see this in full color, that would be great too. I think that that would work well just because the groupings would be nice. Another thing that I also considered when sketching this is the same thing. Like, how would just one panel look and having one focal point? And in this one will probably be a couple of flowers grouped here as a focal point. Here would just be one big lush area of flowers. And then here, just this alone would have like maybe a focal point here where there would be an actual complete flower. So thinking of it overall as a whole, but also individually, the little bits that'll help sort of have a focal point in each. So those are the 3 ideas that I have, 3 concepts, and again, they're ranging from something very simple to something a little more complex to something very complex. So I guess the next step would be to present the concepts to the client. I might also do some swatches. Like I said previously, I might do some swatches just to get an idea of colors. But the good part about having these images that to show a client is that you can kind of sort of look at colors here and figure out, you know, what sort of colors. Because I know for sure that she really likes this background. So we'll probably do something like that here. And then the flower pretty light. So that's another thing too, is that there is some room for figuring out, you know, here's the concept, what do you think about this? Because, you know, calla lilies also come in other colors like yellow, like a light orangey color. So that could be something that, you know, maybe not seeing it with color might be like, oh, well, you know what, I think I might like that color or another color. Same thing with the peony. There's different color peonies, and then with the bouquet, there's definitely an array of colors here. So I think what I'll do is I'll present these ideas, these concepts to my client, and then we'll go from there. So I guess the next step, like I said, is to do that, and then once a concept has been selected, I can sort of clean up the sketch and then get prepared for the actual painting. I don't know if I said this previously, but these are going to be paintings. It'll be acrylic painting on white canvas. The size is, I think, about 16 by 20, I think is the size of the canvas, each canvas. So they are going to be rather large. And then together it'll be quite large. So after the concept has been selected, I'll clean up the sketch a little bit more. Depending on which one. Like if it's this one, I'll have to clean it up a lot more just because there's more elements to figure out. But if it's something simple like this, I should be able to just sketch that on the canvas, no problem. So we will see. Stay tuned so to see what which piece was selected, and then what the next step is. And the next step will be art prep and painting. So so keep in touch, or stay subscribed, ring the bell, so that way you're notified for the next video. And if you guys have any questions about the brainstorming session, and you know, as far as like working with clients and stuff like that, just please feel free to leave it in the comments. Reach out to me and I will try and answer any questions. And again, this isn't like the only way to do it. This is just the way that I do it, and it helps because I am an artist, but I'm also a graphic designer. So it's always very great or wonderful when you have a client that you can work together with on a project. And sometimes as artists we think, oh no, well, you know, I want to create something for just me, and if they like it, great. If they don't, that's fine. But sometimes ideas, or good ideas, can sometimes come from collaboration. And so when I work with a client, I sort of think of it as a collaboration, because I can bring things to the table as an artist and graphic designer But my client can also bring things to the table as just, you know, a lover of art, or just someone who has, you know, other interests. So it's always great when you can collaborate with your client. So if you guys have any other questions or comments, stuff like that, make sure to leave them in the comment section. And I will see you guys later for part 2, where we actually get into the art prep and painting. Thanks, guys. Bye.